Good evening, gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. Now, from my experience, from the guys that I've met and talked to, a lot of guys don't know what they want to do with the rest of their life. And some of you guys are probably like, well, Aaron, I'm 15, 16. I don't have to be thinking about this right now. And you'd be wrong to say so. And here's why. You got goals, right? You got dreams. You want to buy a nice house in the mountains, marry a cute girl, have a bunch of babies, and that's great. But here's the thing. That house is going to cost a significant sum of money, a lot more than you're making at Chick-fil-A currently. Girls also will not marry you unless you have the means to procure funds with which to buy food and other such necessities. Kids also require food as well. So you're looking at quite a lot of money. Now here's some stuff you can do to help kind of point you in the right direction, or at least into a field where you can then decide what you want to do, but you'll at least be making some money. A good place to start when you're thinking about what you want to do with your life is what makes you feel fulfilled. And don't just think inside the box here, all right? What do you do when you're not working, when you want to have a good time? Like, do you go outside? Do you usually sit and work on a project by yourself? What kind of media do you like to consume? What kind of movies do you watch? What kind of books do you read? What kind of games do you play? What kind of characters do you like to read, play, and watch? What's something when you see someone doing it and you go, man, I wish I could be doing that? And if you seriously just have no idea, you're like, I don't know what makes me happy. Maybe you can think about what you really, really don't like. What stuff can you absolutely not stand that when you do it, it feels like it's draining your humanity from you? Start at that stuff. Go as far away from that as possible, like the polar opposite. And then maybe that'll give you a rough idea of what you do like or what you would like if you tried it. What are your favorite memories? What's something you were working on and looking back on that, you're like, that was a good time. Another thing to consider, do you want to specialize? And by specialize, I mean, like, do you want to be one of the few people who's really good at the one thing you do? Like you could be a baker, right? You could be a really good baker. You wouldn't be a specialist really though, unless you did a special kind of baking. See, because there's a lot of people that do baking, but you could set yourself apart by being a particularly good baker. But if you're a specific type of neurosurgeon, now you're a real specialist because not a lot of people do that. And those are two different paths that you have to take to kind of specialize or not specialize. If you're young and really at any age, those unrealistic dream jobs you have, you can absolutely do them if you just put in the work. I mean, maybe you want to be a neurosurgeon. You can do it. You gotta start the process now because you gotta get ahead of all the other ambitious kids also trying to be neurosurgeons. If you want to jump out of airplanes and kick doors, then you can also do that. You just gotta probably get into some sort of program now that will set you on the path to special forces. Don't immediately discard your dream jobs, all right? Those are things that you can do. Or maybe you can just do a tamer version of that one thing, but you probably absolutely can do that thing. All right, we're going to talk about college. You do not have to go to college. There are some jobs where you're going to receive specific measurable benefits from going to college, or career fields, going back to the neurosurgeon thing, you just cannot get into unless you have that degree. And in that case, yeah, absolutely go to college. And if you're in one of those fields, that means that right now, while you're in high school, you should start dual enrolling. If you don't know what that is, it's basically doing college classes while you're in high school. If you start dual enrolling at a certain age in high school, you can have 2 years of college done by the time you graduate high school at 18. I've seen instances of people turning 18 with a bachelor's degree because of dual enrollment. And that's a kind of extreme case, but I mean, I dual enrolled and now I get to graduate college 2 years earlier than all the other guys. So that means I get a head start on the career stuff, and also it looks good on a resume. They're like, oh wow, you finished college early? How did you do that? And you're like, oh well, I did this. Well, you were a smart person. However, I'm not going to really recommend college as the place to learn about stuff unless you're really going to romanticize it and be like that professional student. But if you're trying to work at the same time, and I recommend that, online college, online dual enrollment, work at the same time, unless you're really going all in student, which I admittedly am not. I'm trying to make money and get my degree at the same time. If you want to kick doors in the military, if you want to build houses, those kinds of things, if you want to go into like a trade that maybe something that requires education, but like you need to know certain things to get into the field, but they don't say at the interview, oh, do you have a college degree? For those kinds of things, learn about it other places. Just from YouTube alone, the sole resource of YouTube, you can get so much knowledge. And then you branch out to books. My goodness, you're set. You can learn so much just from YouTube and books, and it's going to be thousands and thousands of dollars cheaper than if you went to college. And you're going to have probably a better education than all those college kids who are just trying to study for their tests and then pew, it's gone. And you will have saved all that money that you can now spend on the house and the food for your wife and kids. You could even buy other stuff. You could buy a cool motorcycle. There's a lot of things you can do if you save money by educating yourself the right way. I don't want to be one of those guys who's like, just don't go to college at all. The whole thing is a scam, because there are obviously fields, high skill fields where you have to go to college to get into the field. And that's okay. Go to college, just do it smart. And some of you, maybe you do know what you want to do, but you got to take that first step. You got to get that first job. Getting a first job can honestly be super tough and annoying. There's a ridiculous amount of employers with these minimum wage entry level jobs being like, well, do you have 3 years of experience? And you, dude, if I had 3 years of experience, I wouldn't be applying for this freaking like entry level job. Ultimately, most guys, I think, want to do something that they feel cool doing. Like they feel like they're in a movie, like they're doing their thing, and this is their specialty. This is what they're good at. Your first job is probably not going to feel like that. And that's okay. First job is just a way to get money, get your foot in the door, so that you can say to your next employer, hey, look, I have had a job prior to this one. That's it. Because the jobs that you really want to do are going to require prior experience in something else. They just want to see that you've worked before. So if you go apply to bag groceries, then go bag the heck out of those groceries, man. And after a year or two, then maybe you'll be able to move on to something else. Maybe something that requires you to be 18, which waiting for that can be a pain because there's a bunch of cool jobs that you can't do till you're 18. But the first jobs, you've actually really got to kill it. Don't just drift through those. I mean, if your next employer calls your previous employer and says, "Hey, how did Aaron perform as an employee?" You want your previous employer to be like, "Oh, he was awesome. He was a hard worker even when nobody was looking. Sorry to have lost him. He'll do great." That's what you want your employer to say, to hear about you. So, given all this information, maybe I got the gears turning in your head and you're like, oh, well, there is this one thing that I thought could maybe be cool. If so, great. If you're still there, if you're still lost, just look in general directions. What do I like to do? Do I like to enact change? Do I like to help people? Do I like to be hands-on with the stuff I'm doing? Or maybe I'm more into like policy making stuff. That's cool too. There's every job in the world, somebody's got to do it. So you find a field where you're like, I'm gonna be that somebody. Pay more attention to the world around you. Maybe you're gonna notice people doing stuff that you didn't notice before, and you're gonna be like, hey, wait, they do that for a living. If you end up in a job that you don't love for the rest of your life, that's okay. You don't have to love your job. Ultimately, if you got a family, your job is just a way to provide for them. The cool part of your life is your life at home. Don't get so caught up in your cool guy job that you forget what you're doing all this stuff for. Without the family, without that purpose, your cool guy job is just what? Money for you. Nice. For who? So, eyes on the goal there. You guys will do great. And look, I'm not there yet either. I'm not doing my dream career, so we're kind of synergistically doing this together. Wow, you and me on YouTube. Crazy. I was crazy one. Okay, shut up. Hope this helped. Hope I didn't ramble too much. But that's everything. That's all I got for you guys. See you next time. Stay based.